Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Boxiest, and today we're going to continue the What If series. What if events had gone differently? And in this What If, we're going to change the history of Cobra Kai. What if Kenny joined Terry Silver during the events of Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 2? So in this timeline, Miguel and Johnny would still leave. The Miyagi-Do students would still go explore Barcelona, and they would still be at the tapas bar. This is when the Cobra Kais would show up, and Sam would still go outside to get some air. Quan would still want to mess with Robbie, so Quan and Robbie would start to have a rivalry. Zara would notice the connection between Tori and Robbie, and she would still want to mess with Tori, so those events would stay the same. Sam would still be walking down the beach, and she would still run into Axel. She would still compliment Axel on his kata, and the interaction between Sam and Axel would stay the same. And meanwhile in the States, Amanda would still try to convince Kenny to go to Barcelona, but Kenny still wouldn't want to go, and Kenny would still think that Anthony put laxatives in his water. Eventually Anthony would apologize to Kenny, and Devin would confess to Kenny that it was her that put laxatives in his water, so Kenny would decide to go. Eventually Miguel, Johnny, and Kenny would come back to Barcelona, and Kenny would still take Devin's place. The team matches would continue. Miyagi-Do would still fight Furia de Pantera, and the fight would stay the same. Dimitri and Hawk would still be arguing, and they still wouldn't trust Kenny, so Furia de Pantera would win 3-1, and Miyagi-Do would still be close to elimination. Miguel would be mad that Miyagi-Do wasn't fighting properly. He would want Dimitri and Hawk to stop fighting, and to trust Kenny. Kenny would say that he was here to help them win, but Hawk and Dimitri still wouldn't trust Kenny. Robbie would say that was enough, and that he was the one that lost the match. Miyagi-Do would still have a bit of a break between their matches, so Miguel would still go talk to Robbie. Kenny would be all alone, but this is when Terry Silver would see Kenny, so he would go talk to him. Terry would welcome Kenny to his rightful place in the Saikai Taikai. He would say it was too bad that his new dojo doesn't feel the same way. He would say that they don't see the champion in him that he always has. This is when Terry would say because of the loopholes in the roster system, he would offer him a spot on his team in a heartbeat, but Kenny would say he couldn't do that to the Miyagi-Dos. This is when Terry would ask what Miyagi-Do has ever done for him. Terry would say that his team was undefeated, and that he has a better chance of winning with him on the winning team. Terry would say that the choice was his. And during the next team match, Miyagi-Do would fight Redentores, and Miguel would still start off. He would use a combination of offense and defense, and he would tag in Robbie, and Robbie would land the first point. And much like in the original timeline, Robbie would tag in Kenny, and Kenny would remember what Terry Silver had said, so Kenny would hold back during the fight, and they would land the first point on Kenny. The fight would continue, and Kenny wouldn't tag out. The fight would continue, and they would land another point on Kenny. Everyone in Miyagi-Do would be telling Kenny to tag out, but Kenny would refuse. Terry would watch from afar. Eventually, they would land the final point on Kenny, so Redentores would be Miyagi-Do 3-1 in this timeline, and Miyagi-Do would be eliminated. Everyone in Miyagi-Do would be mad at Kenny. Dimitri and Hawk would say that they knew they couldn't trust Kenny, but Kenny would ignore them, and he would walk off. And Quan would laugh at the Miyagi-Dos. Redentores would fight Cobra Kai, and Cobra Kai would defeat them. And the next day, Miyagi-Do would notice Kenny standing with the Iron Dragons. Miyagi-Do would stay to watch the final matches. Tiger Strike would still be eliminated for cheating during the tournament, so Redentores would take their place. The semi-finals would begin. Quan and Diego would still fight, but Quan would still defeat him. Zara and Maria would fight, but Zara would still defeat Maria. Axel would fight Redentores' male captain, and he would easily defeat him. Tori would fight Redentores' female captain, but Tori would win her match, so she would advance to the finals. Quan and Axel would fight, but Axel would be more defensive in this fight, and he would knock down Quan. Quan would get even more mad, and he would try to go for Axel's head, but Axel would block his attack. Axel would land some points on Quan, and he would defeat him. Zara would fight Tori. Zara would be aggressive, and she would land some points on Tori. Tori would be using a combination of offense and defense. She would manage to land a point on Zara, so Zara would get more aggressive, and she would defeat Tori, so the Iron Dragons would win. Kenny would stand with the Iron Dragons. Kenny would be happy that he was on the winning team, but his happiness would be short-lived, and he would feel like he didn't deserve the win. Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai would go home in defeat. Sensei Kim and her students would go back to Korea, and Tori would go back to the valley. Terry Silver would sign over the dojo to Sensei Wolf, and Kenny would go back to the valley. Kenny would get his share from the winnings from the Saikai Taikai, and he would help his family, but Kenny would stay away from karate in this timeline. Even though Miyagi-Do lost, Miyagi-Do would remain open, and Tori would rejoin Miyagi-Do. And that is where I'm going to end this What If. Thank you guys for watching. What do you guys think would have happened if Kenny joined Terry Silver during the events of Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 2? Let me know in the comments below. YouTube lets me know that the majority of you are not subscribed, so if you guys could subscribe, that would be much appreciated. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. And I'll see you guys next time.